Now, are there really powerful weapons in Shadow of the Erdtree that you can get very early on? Well, meet the Blood Moon Samurai, coming in hard with an everlasting lust for carnage. This powerful killer is soaked in the blood of his enemies, but he wields the Shroud of Blood as a trophy. Everything in the way of this samurai gets cut down like butter, infinitely, no matter if he gets hit in the process of doing so, because there is no rest for the wicked. He goes on and on and on, and can also slash his enemies with an ancient dragon hunting super move that also allows him to snipe his enemies from across the map to hunt down any fleeing enemies. And all of that while representing his clan, the Blood Moon Clan. So, Shadow of the Erdtree introduces great katanas, and these are actually busted, especially the two unique ones that you can both get very early on, and especially if you combine these two katanas, the Rakshasa's Great Katana and the Dragon Hunter's Great Katana. Today you'll see why. Let's start off with the Dragon Hunter's Great Katana, which can with today's setup absolutely do bonkers damage. It can one-tap everything in the open world pretty much, tackle on many enemies at the same time, deal great poise damage for very easy stance breaking and juicy critical hits, and the best thing is, it comes with a ton of hyper armor, so you can trade extremely efficient with this great katana. I won't show you boss footage like you're usually used to with my videos in this video yet, due to spoilers, since yeah, the game has only been out for 1 day or so. But I really want to show some examples though, so I've censored out completely some of the main bosses of the DLC, while quickly showing you the absolute disgusting damage that you can do with this great katana with just a single usage of its Ash of War. Just look at these numbers at boss number 1 and then also at boss number 2. Yes, it does a lot of damage and it's a great thing in combat. Everyone that has used it already versus bosses, put it down in the comments. And what is also fun with this katana is that you can actually hit enemies' heads very efficiently due to you jumping for that extra juicy headshot bonus. Well, this great katana is extremely early on obtainable. Just go to the castle front side of Grace, go south beyond the guy screaming for help, you'll get invaded. Not a hard fight at all, just quickly kill the invader, then move on till you get to the Dragon's Pit. Inside the Dragon's Pit, your journey will be linear. Drop down the space where it seems like you won't survive, you will, and at the end of this cave is a fight with Mr. Dragon Man himself. The fight is very easy, and afterwards you'll get the great katana that I just talked about. You saw already how insane this katana is, but to make this build even better, we have to get Rakshasa's great katana as well. Now you might initially think, will two different unique great katanas actually work together? Yes, very well even, as both are quality weapons and thus scale very well through strength and dexterity at the same time, with some nuances that I will get into later on in this video. Now let me first introduce you to my little friend, the Rakshasa's Great Katana, also known as Oceans of Blood. Rivers of blood, but bigger and better. The Rakshasa's Great Katana Ash of War is this multi-hit Ash of War that you can keep chaining over and over. There is no break here, and it's extremely stamina and FP efficient. Look at those bars. Do you see something despairing? No, I don't. But that is not all, as the Ash of War provides you with insane hyper armor as well. Insane hyper armor, just like our other great katana, by the way. So while you're mowing down the lawn and you're getting hit, you don't care about all the incoming hits, and you can really just keep doing your thing like nothing is happening. The developers have even specified its hyper armor in the description to make sure you know about it. The Ash of War is called Wheat Cutter, and it really does cut the wheat, let's say, as you can slice through everything like butter. It feels so good to use, also versus bosses, by the way, as what usually would stagger or break you out of your motion while engaging in your Ash of War animation doesn't do much. It's a very smooth Ash of War, and combining it with our other great katana and Ash of War means we have an option for everything in melee range, and we have an option for everything in the distance as well, since if you actually hit the enemy with the katana itself, it gives you extra damage too. So in a lot of different aspects you're covered, and the two katanas supplement each other very well. Also, have you by the way checked out the great katana moveset? Well, with my build you get the possibility to use both the solo moveset, which is already quite great since the charged attacks build up quite some poise damage and the normal attacks are really fast while dealing a lot of damage. But then the power stance jump attacks are actually really nice to use as well. I really like them. It's like this beautiful sweep while telling your enemies to get out of your face immediately. Oh, did I also tell you that both katanas have blood loss incorporated, and with power sensing and a chainable multi-hit, extremely efficient, a lot of hyper armor having Ash of War? Well, let's say you're going to make your enemies bleed out more than all the menstruation cycles of the world combined. But before we get too happy, we have to actually get this thing, and that requires a lot of movement and not so much fighting. You have to go to the Shadow Keep first, and to get there you have two options. Defeat some weird person's sister, and this fight's actually very easy with the right setup, like my Godfist build for example. It completely trivializes this fight, so if you need a build for that too, use that build, or you can obtain the katana without ever having to fight a single main boss. In that case, we're going to skip the entirety of the castle Ensis and start from yet again our beloved castle front side of of grace. To do this, move down the path and take the middle path. This is very important. I'm drawing it now out on the map for you as well, and you basically just want to move downwards and downwards and downwards, and then you'll see a poison swamp. You want to go through the poison swamp as well. Make sure you're doing this on horse, because then you won't get poisoned, and basically just keep progressing till you see the landmass without poison to the right of you. Go there and move some more till you see the spirit spring. The spirit spring will initially be locked by this puddle of white stones, and to break it, it's actually very easy. Right around the corner, you break the rocks, and it will open up the spirit spring for you. Easy peasy. You even get a message to welcome you, then use it, and use the other one after that as well, and you'll ultimately end up in Fort Reprimand. Here you can just ignore everything and move outside of it. Make sure to grab both sides of graces, and then at the second side of grace, enter the area right in front of you, and just progress through it till you can get out again. Here you'll see the exit, or rather entrance of the castle, and you can just go out smoothly. Outside you'll see another side of grace for you to get, and close by is this mini tunnel that if you go through, you'll end up not too far away from our destination. You can see it in the distance now as well, and it's pretty much just smooth sailing from here onwards to the Shadow Keep. In the Shadow Keep, just move from the first main side of grace up. Basically, it is very linear till you get to the area with the boats. Now, there's a very sneaky ladder here somewhere. Grab that sneaky ladder, and this is a very easily missable ladder, so I wouldn't be surprised if not many people have the katana yet. But after that is a matter of dropping down till you can ride the coffin. And after the coffin, you get a cutscene that feels kind of familiar, but yeah, let's not talk too much about that. After that, you end in the watery areas. Here you go south, unlock the side of graces on your path till you get to the Recluse's River upstream. Go more south then, drop carefully when you get to those drop down things, and then between the first and second waterfall, move forward. Moving forward will ultimately let you get to Raksasa's tomb, and there you will fight her. It's a very easy fight yet again with the Dragon Hunter's Great Katana Ash of War, and after that you get Oceans of Blood. Now, our dual Great Katana setup is ready to go, and you have it extremely early on in the DLC zone. Congratulations! Rakshasa also drops a very sick armor set that fits thematically very well. Well, that kinda makes sense since she owns one of the two katanas. But it looks amazing, and read its description to really see why this is a sick armor set in the literal sense of the word. And better yet, it has great defenses and 58 poise, so passing that 51 poise threshold for preventing incoming staggers like it's nothing. We grab the armor set and put it on like there's no tomorrow. Now, a few more things to optimize the build. Obviously, upgrade your great katanas with your base game bell bearings, preferably to get it quickly done. And then for talismans, absolutely mandatory here is getting the Shard of Alexander. We use 2 Great Ashes of War, do I need to say more? And absolutely mandatory, the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman as well. Why? Because everything in the DLC hits extremely hard, so this thing is going to help us out very well with that 20% physical damage reduction. Extremely important, and I do advise the Godfrey icon as well. It will make your Dragon Hunter Great Katana's Ash of War hit like an absolute nuke, since you can in fact charge it to get it out. And then finally, with these stats and armor, I recommend the Great George Arsenal specifically, since it keeps us in the medium load category. I say these stats specifically because this is a level 150 build, as you can see, with 60 vigor, get that sustain and fully soft cap on vigor, and then 22 endurance, 55 dexterity, 40 strength, and 25 faith. Why 55 dexterity and 40 strength then? Well, glad you asked. The Rakshasa's Great Katana scales harder with dexterity than strength, so we prio it due to that reason and get its first main soft cap approximately. Our Dragon Hunter Great Katana, on the other hand, doesn't discriminate between the stats, as it's a pure quality weapon, so we're flexible in that regard and use our other katana to get a prioritization going. And then 22 endurance for the stamina and equip load, and 25 faith is very good for this build as well, with Golden Vow, which gives you extra damage and also tankiness thanks to its defensive buffs. And then we can also run Flame Grant Me Strength, of which if you combine the two, you get a whopping 38% boost to your damage. It's a very welcome boost. And then also a low level faith investment gives us a bunch of utility and defensive targeted spells that you can run in addition. If you want to know about all of that, then check out the video I did a few weeks ago. For our Flask of Wonders Physick, we then also get that Opaline Heart tier from the base game to make sure our defense is even better. Again, DLC bosses hit hard, so investing in defense is very important, and especially with the Weed Cutter's effect. Our other crystal tier is going to be offensive through the Thorny Crack tier, since we can get its max rank buff very quickly thanks to Weed Cutter. In a similar line of thinking, if you really want to go offensive, you can swap out a defensive talisman for the Rotten Winged Sword Insignia as well, but do so at your own risk. For this build, enjoy destroying everything now, be on the lookout for more DLC builds, and subscribe, like, do all that stuff, you know how it works. And if you want to support me and my channel, check out my Patreon. I also have high quality written guides of all my builds there, including this one and also all the previous ones, so that is also nice. If you're still stuck in the base game, then make sure to watch my last video, the God Fist, or my overview of strongest builds of all time video to get a great build going to enter the DLC.